This video will show you how to add multiple measures to a chart. First, add a chart component to your dashboard. You can do this by dragging the chart component from the component panel into the dashboard. Resize the chart as desired by dragging on the resize handles, and position the chart as desired by dragging on the move handle. To add dimensions and measures to the chart, drag the dimension and measure fields to the axis regions or to the visual regions at the bottom. For example, let's create a chart that displays total versus state. We can drag the state field to the x-axis and drag the total measure to the y-axis. We now have a single measure and a single dimension. Let's switch the chart type to a point type chart, which is often the best chart type for displaying multiple measures. To do this, press the Select Chart Style button in the Data panel and choose the point type chart. Let's add a second measure to this chart. Drag the quantity purchased field into the y-axis region. This adds quantity purchased as a second measure on the chart, and you can see that it does this by adding a separate axis region. Now in the top axis region we have the sum total versus state, and in the bottom axis region we have the quantity purchased versus state. If we were to add additional measures in this way, each additional measure would be given its own axis region. To display the two measures together on the same axis, press the Switch to Single Graph button in the Data panel. The aggregated totals and quantity purchased are now displayed together on the same axis. The problem here is that the quantity purchased values are much less than the total values. In this case, you can use a secondary y-axis. To do this, press the Edit Measure button next to the quantity purchased field and choose the secondary axis option at the bottom. Then press the Apply button. Quantity purchased values are now displayed on the right-hand axis. This chart now displays two measures and one dimension. Let's add an additional measure by using the shape of the point. To do this, drag the discount field down to the shape region in the visual panel. This now uses the shape of the point, which is essentially the level of fill within the point, to indicate the aggregated discount. In the case of this measure, rather than summing the discount values in each group, it would be more appropriate to average them, because the discounts are percentages. To change the aggregation method, press the Edit Measure button next to the discount field, and switch the aggregation method to average. Then press Apply. The shape of the point now indicates the average discount for each group. This chart now has three measures and one dimension. Let's add a final measure by using the size of the point. Drag the Paid field to the size region in the visual panel. The Paid field indicates whether an order was paid or not by using a 1 or a 0. So the size of the point now represents the number of paid orders in the particular state group. Note that each state group has 2 points associated with it, one representing the sum total and one representing the summed quantity purchased. The size and shape of these 2 points are identical because each of these points relates to the same group. To remove this redundancy, it might be better to choose another way to represent the quantity purchased rather than displaying it on an axis. We might choose to instead move the quantity purchased to the color region in the visual panel to display the quantity purchased using the color of the points. You can change the color scheme by pressing the Edit Color button next to the quantity purchased field and selecting a different spectrum. This chart now contains 4 measures and 1 dimension. Of course, you can add additional measures, or you can add additional dimensions. Please see the other videos in this series for more information about adding dimensions and measures to a chart.